Hi Tom. Being that you missed a lesson on Friday, what I thought I'd do is I'd just run you through the small few things I wanted to look at today. It was really a continuation of where we were yesterday. As you can see from the screen, we finished off looking at Perfect Parties worksheet. We worked through the idea of looking fixed and variable costs and our revenue in order to look at our profits and how we can use that. Now today's lesson, what we were going to look at was really this idea of short and long run costs. And a few other things which I'm going to mention a little bit briefly later on, which will lead into the rest of the work I asked you to do with flipped learning. So ideally you'll look at this video first and then you'll watch the second one I've set you. Now, as far as costs go, all firms have to pay costs. We know that, we looked at that yesterday. So basically, whatever we use, we tend to use in order to achieve an output level we're looking at that time. So what we have to consider is what we're going to do in the short term and what we're going to do in the long term, or an economical term, what we're going to do in the short run and the long run. Now, we've looked at the idea of short run, but just to confirm for you, short run is defined as a time period in which at least one of the factors of production is fixed and cannot be varied. So basically, what we're saying here is we've got land, labour, labour, capital, and entrepreneurship. If we discount the idea of entrepreneurship, if we look at the land, labour, and capital, as long as one of those three is not changing, then you're still in the short run. So basically, an idea about this is the workers' idea. We can very easily change, increase and decrease the number of workers we have in a factory. We can also buy new machinery fairly quickly as well. So short run changes can be made very, very quickly. But if we are looking at a long run change, this is when we change the scale of all of our factors of production. So this is when we change everything and increase our overall capacity. So in the short run, if our capacity is 100 units a day, whatever we do up to that 100 is in the short run. So anything we do to increase that 100 to 150, for instance, is long run, because we've got to change both the human element, the capital, machinery, and we've got to change the factory as well. So what we've done is we've changed all our aspects of our costs there. Now, the average total cost curve, we kind of looked at this yesterday. We looked at this idea of average total costs and how we calculated those. So we get a U-shaped curve looking like this. So what we've got on the left side is costs, and then we have output along the bottom. So you can see at C1, they are our costs if we produce at Q1. So if we produce quantity 1, that is what our average total costs are going to be. Then as we produce more and more within our business, we start to see our costs spreading further. Perhaps this could be for various reasons. We'll look at another lesson, but it could be that we're buying our raw materials cheaper because we're getting much more of them, or our staff are becoming much more efficient because they're better. As we move along, we'll see as we increase our output, eventually we'll get to a point where we'll start to see costs going up again, or average costs going up again. This might be just due to the fact that we're reaching the total capacity, or we're just becoming a little less efficient, or perhaps there are other factors involved which are leading to us not producing at such a low cost anymore. So we see this U-shaped curve of the average total cost, where costs will decrease until they hit a base level at the lowest point, as we can see here. That's probably about our lowest point, our most efficient point, and then we start to build up again with our costs as our output goes. As I said, this could be because we're inefficient, we have too many staff perhaps getting in each other's way, we have unused equipment, or we have stock which was wasted and we're not using it as efficiently as we could. So how do we get to this graph, the average fixed cost curve? Now we calculated this yesterday, didn't we? We looked at how we did it, that as you're increasing the amount of output, you start to see the fixed cost spreading. Now before we said fixed costs were like £1 million, as you can see there. For this firm, fixed costs, total overheads, etc. are £1 million. But as we produce more output, we start to see the fixed costs spreading over more units. So even though our total fixed costs are still £1 million, our average fixed cost, which is our total fixed cost divided by our output, for each unit we produce, it contributes a level of fixed cost. So we start to see a change appearing. So in this example, a car manufacturer, fixed cost of £1 million, makes one car, average fixed cost of £1 million, makes two cars, it's 500 million, etc., etc., etc. So we're basically spreading these average fixed costs. So the more we produce, the more they get spread. Then we have the average variable cost curve again. So we can see our issues here. Variable cost of those a firm incurs when it hires variable factors of production, so labour, raw materials, etc. As we produce more and more, we start to see costs coming down every so often. Eventually we get to a point again where we reach our most efficient point, and then costs will start to creep up yet again. So once again, back to the idea of being too many staff or not enough work and being inefficient. The average total cost curve is a combination of both of them. So therefore, we're seeing a similar U-shaped curve, but we're seeing it increase more. So we start to see our changes again. So average total cost, or total cost divided by our output. So there's our average fixed cost, added to our average variable cost. That will then, if you add these two together, if the diagram is drawn accurately, which mine isn't, these two here, average variable cost, average fixed cost, will total the average total costs. So quite often we'll see in our exams, etc., just an average total cost graph. Now, next lesson we're going to be having a go at these. So what I would recommend for you, you're going to be doing these as a little tester in the lesson to make sure that you paid attention in the previous lesson, but also that you've looked back and watched this video as well. Now, just a quick clue, the next video you're going to look at is the one I set you before this, and that will lead you into the lessons mainly on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, the long run average cost curve we haven't mentioned. Now, this is about over a long period of time when we change all our factors of production. So what we see is our factory changing, so we enlarge it, we have more staff, we have more equipment, for instance, so we change all those three factors of production. As you can see here, Q1 is what we call our efficient maximization point. So this is where our costs are actually our lowest. So what we see happening is over the long run, we see a U-shaped curve developing. At first glance, it's the same as a short run average total cost. So it looks the same, but in actual fact, it tells us a lot of different things to it. The ATC curve suggests labour becomes more productive as it is added to the cost until it eventually becomes less productive. The long-range aggregate cost, long-run average cost, focuses on two long-run concepts that don't exist in the short run. These are called economies and diseconomies of scale. And welcome to the next lesson, as I say there. The video I gave you the other day to look at, this is about economies and diseconomies of scale, so I would like you to then move on to the economies and diseconomies of scale video, study that, and you'll be having a test on that at the start of Tuesday's lesson. Have a nice weekend, Tom. Hope you're feeling a lot better. See you soon. Bye.